Hello technology geniuses, it's Mr. Bailey here. Welcome to the first of my Digital Technologies flipped learning videos. These videos will help you to understand concepts that we will be looking at in class and explore them in greater detail with hands-on activities, and they'll help you to maximise the time that you have in class to explore, to be creative and to ask me questions. Today's video will look at variables, how to use them with MakeCode and Minecraft, and I'll give you some tips and tricks to start coding with variables yourself. These are the learning objectives that I'll be looking at in today's video. We'll take a look at the definition of a variable. We'll look at understanding the different types of variables. Then we'll jump into MakeCode and Minecraft, and we will code something that will count things happening in the world and modify a variable as things happen and as the program runs. And then we'll take a look at allowing a user to control a variable before a program runs so they can control something happening in our Minecraft world. So as a reminder, a definition of a variable is something that can change, something that can vary during the running of a program. A user of a program can also set a variable to allow for a program to generate different outputs. Now there are three main types of variables that you'll come across as you're programming. Here they are on the PowerPoint. Number, it holds numerical data. That one's very obvious. A string, which is a little bit more tricky, a bit of a tricky word to remember. When you see the word string, it means a word. We say it holds alphanumeric characters, and that basically means letters and numbers. And the third type is a funny looking word called boolean. And a boolean variable has two possible values, either true or false. Now in Minecraft, there is a super special MakeCode variable called position. You generally won't see this anywhere else, but in Minecraft, a position allows us to hold coordinate information using the X, Y, and Z coordinates. So we've looked at that concept in class, and that's how we move around the Minecraft world, and we know where we are and where we are in the Minecraft world. We won't take a look at that one today, but we might do that in some later videos. Okay, let's jump into Minecraft now, and we're going to take a look at creating a very simple program to count arrows and arrow shots. This will be the first one that we look at with a variable. So here I am in MakeCode. If you need to start up MakeCode when you're in Minecraft, you type in /code. That's always the first thing you should try. Sometimes it does glitch out and has a few bugs. If that happens for you and you can't connect to MakeCode, just close it down, close out of Minecraft and reload it and try in the chat command /code and hopefully it'll start up for you. So I'm in here now. I'm going to go to a new project. Okay. So I'm in my MakeCode window. It starts up and gives me this first event, which is on chat command run. So we know that's what we always see when we start up MakeCode. For the arrow counter, we want it to detect when a user shoots an arrow. We want to add that arrow shot to a variable. So we want to change it as the program is running. And then we want to talk back, chat that back to the user. So we're going to use a few blocks to do that. The first one is an event. So we go into player, and we want to find the event that is triggered when an arrow is shot, and that's called onArrowShot. So I'm going to drag that into the workspace. Alright. Now I want to grab our variable. So I'm going to go into the variables section. And in here, I can see the list of variables that I've created. the default one is item. I'm going to grab this here that says change item by 1. I'm going to go back into variables, and I'm going to create a new variable by clicking on make a variable. And I'm going to call that arrow. And we can see I've got arrow there now, so it should also be in my drop down for change. So I'm going to change the arrow variable by 1. So every time an arrow is shot, it adds 1 onto the variable, and it keeps that variable in memory, and it keeps adding another 1 as an arrow is shot, so it keeps increasing it by 1. So we've got that. The program will run if we go into Minecraft, but we won't see it doing anything as a user. So what we want to do is get it to communicate back to the player. So if we go back into the player section in MakeCode, we can say we've got a chat command. There's a chat command option here to say things back to the player, because it would be useful in this program for it to report back to the player so they know how many arrows they've shot. So at the moment, this is saying the word hi, which is not useful. So what we want it to say is how many arrows have been shot by repeating the variable back to us. However, if it repeats just a number back to the user, they might not know what that number is for or what it's related to. So it would be good to give them some context by telling them what's happening, by saying arrows shot, and then to give the number. So if I go into this text option, which is under advanced, it allows me to join two pieces of text together. So I'm going to pull that out and put it into the say field. And then where it says hello, I'm going to change that to arrows shot. I'm going to put a space after that too, so there's a nice gap between that word and then the number. So at the moment, it's repeating the word world back to us. So let's go into variables. And I'm going to pull out the variable arrow. Alright, so let's have a look at the program. On event arrow shot, change the arrow variable by 1. And then say, join, arrows shot, space, the variable arrow. Let's go into Minecraft. Okay, so I'm just in a creative world here. You can see my agent standing looking at me, paying me a lot of attention, and I've got an arrow. So I'm going to a bow. So I'm going to try and shoot some arrows with my bow and see what happens. Awesome. So we can see at the top of the screen that it's counting the arrows that I shoot. If I push T and go into chat commands, I can see that coming up there as well. I keep shooting him. It keeps adding on that 1. So it's changing the variable as the user changes something within the game. So you can start to think about how that might be useful in Minecraft if you had a limited supply of arrows and they may be in a different inventory slot that you can't see. You may still want to track them to know how many you've shot. Alright, so that's our first program. We're going to write another program now. So I'm going to go back into MakeCode. I'll use the same workspace and I'll just move this over to the side. We're going to write a program now that allows a user to set a variable at the start of a program and then allow that variable to be used later in the program. And we're going to use the builder to do that. So the builder is a fantastic tool in MakeCode that allows you to create structures very quickly. So we're going to grab in builder teleport. I'm going to use that on chat command run block that came in by default. Builder teleport to my relative location. So the builder's going to come and stand right next to me. I won't be able to see the builder because the builder is invisible. I'm going to get the builder to place a mark. There's a few options I have now to make the builder move, and then I can trace its movement with some blocks. So I'm going to get the builder to move forward at this stage, because I want to create a line. Alright, and let's go back to builder and trace path from mark with a grass block. Let's change the grass block to something we can see. Let's go some orange wool, that will stand out nicely. Okay, so let's take a look at our program. When I type the word run in, the builder will teleport over to me, it'll place a mark down, it'll move forward at the moment by 1 block, and it will trace the path. So let's go into Minecraft and see if that works. Let's find some nice open space, maybe down here, over by the desert. So if I type the word run, I can see that it's placed not 1 block, but actually 2 blocks. There's a reason why it's placed 2 blocks and not 1 block, and that's called an off by 1 error. We will fix that when we add a variable in, but it's to do with the program counting the 0 and the 1. Let's go back into MakeCode, so we can see that our code's run. I'm going to change the word run to the word line, just so my program means a bit more to me and the user knows what's happening when they run the code, because run's a bit of a generic word for executing the program. So let's put the word line. Let's click the plus sign here. Now the plus sign next to the word line allows the user to input a variable, or input a value that can be set to a variable. We can see our arrow variable there. I'm not going to use that one. I'm going to keep it on the num1 variable, but I'm going to rename that. Because I want it to control the line length, I call that variable length. It means a bit more to me as I look at the program. Alright, let's go into variables. And there's my length variable. So I'm going to grab that down here, and I'm going to move the builder forward by length. Okay. Let's go back into Minecraft, and let's try and run that code, this time with a variable. So we'll type the word line, because we changed that chat command to line to run the program. And let's type in 2 this time. Alright. So we've got an off by 1 error again. It's put 3 blocks down instead of 2. So I think we should go in and fix that error. Well, let's go in there. We're going to fix this error by using an equation from the math drawer over on the side. So click on the math drawer and grab the simple subtraction equation. I'm going to grab my variable and put it at the start of this equation. We then want to take 1 off of the variable, because we could see that it was an off by 1 error. So every time we tried to create a line, it was 1 value higher than what we wanted. So let's put that back into our program. So let's take a look at what we've got. So on chat command line, and the variable length that the user sets, the builder comes, stands next to the player, places a mark, moves forward by length variable -1, and then traces the path with our orange wool. So let's go back and run it. Let's try and run the same variable that we set before, line 2, and see what it runs. Alright, and we can see that it's correct now. So it made a line of 2 blocks. Let's see if we can change that, make it a bit longer. Let's try 20. There we go. So the user is now able to control this program, line 30, based on what they enter. So it gives the user a choice. Okay, let's go back and take a look at what we've covered today. So we've looked at the definition of a variable. We've looked at understanding different types of variables. We looked at those three types: a numeric variable, a string variable, a Boolean variable, and if you remember that super special MakeCode variable position. We've then used an arrow counter to count things happening in the world. And that was our arrow shot, and then we've modified a variable as the programs run. And the final program we built was to allow the user to set a variable to control the builder to create lines in the world. Go over this video again, try and build the code yourself. Make sure that you understand the concepts of a variable. We will use these concepts in class so we can build some really funky programs that we can allow users to control. We're going to look at building some structures using the builder and allowing the user to control the size of those. Thanks for watching my first flipped learning video. I feel like I should be telling you to like and subscribe this video, but what I really want you to do is use it as a valuable resource. Go back, watch over some of the concepts that I've highlighted and discussed. If you're still not familiar with them, come and ask me a question and I will see you in class. See you later.